two nonprofits helping St. Louis area children. Next on City Corner. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome to City Corner. For today's show, I'm talking to two very distinct nonprofit organizations, but both have one commonality. They're both helping St. Louis area children, and specifically youth in need. So for the first segment of our show, I'm going to talk to the founder and executive director of It's Your Birthday, Inc. And then for the second half of our show, I'm going to talk to the founder and executive director of the Urban Soccer Association. But first, to start things off, it's great to have Rolanda Finch back in studio. Here we are together 5 years later. It's been 5 years. And you are the founder and executive director of It's Your Birthday, Inc. We've got some great stuff on the set to kind of get into this. I want to know how you've been for the past 5 years, how the organization has grown. But before we get into that, I would love for you to start off with the story of how you even started this nonprofit, because it's really so telling of the work that you do, and really interesting how you became known as the birthday lady. So tell us that story again.
So I love my birthday. I'm one of those people that celebrate my birthday the whole month. So I'm one of those people that on the first of the month, all the way until the end of the month. And so my birthday is September 30th, just so you know. So I was volunteering at a homeless shelter one day, and I looked around, and my first thought was, what's going to be the memory that these children will have when they turned whatever age they are turned while they're in the shelter? Mm-hmm. And so I asked the executive director of the shelter, what do you guys do? He said, we don't do anything. We don't have the resources. I said, well, what if I, as an individual, I come in and I just start giving these kids a birthday party? And he goes, go for it. And I did, and those kids were so excited. And as you said, I became the birthday lady. Every time I drove up, it was like, the birthday lady's here, the birthday lady's here. And so fast forward, we're in our 8th year now, and I'm still the birthday lady.
I know, and still the birthday lady, and I've touched so many lives. So I want to kind of make some distinctions, and I want to get into the birthday in a box. So when we first talked, so you've been around, the founding date was, what year was that?
2014.
2014. Mm-hmm. And so you're specifically working with children who are living in shelters, is that correct?
Yes, they're in domestic violence and homeless shelters.
Okay, all right. And so how does this all work? I know when you look at all the things you do, it's not just, you throw a party, but there's a lot of choice that goes into it for the kids. So kind of get into some of those details.
For sure, yeah. So we believe in flexibility and choices. And so what happens is, kid birthday comes up, the shelter has a choice of 5 different options. They can have a birthday party where we'll come in and we'll host the party. They can have a birthday in a box, which I'll show you in a minute. And it's just full of toys and goodies for the kid. Or they can have what we call a Happy Born Day. And that's when we recognize that some kids are actually born while they're in the shelter. And so we want to take care of the mom. So the mom goes to our Amazon wish list, and she orders what she wants to help with the kid, the newborn. And then we have our other Amazon wish list, which is a birthday surprise. And with the birthday surprise, they're able to actually go out. Mom can go out to the wish list, or the child can go out to the wish list and get what they want. We send it directly to the shelter. And so in the last one we have is a birthday in a class, and that's where we have cupcakes delivered to the class for the child and their classmates on their birthday.
Wow. And I know it sounds, on the one hand, it's like you could sit here and look at the toys, but I know on your site you really point to some factoids from child psychologists that talk about the importance that a birthday plays in sort of at least the honor, the recognition of it in a child's development. Allude to that and sort of some of the impact that you've seen over the years from doing something that seems so simple, right? As a birthday party, but really has so much impact on a child's life.
Yeah, and it's an impact on the child as well as the mom. And the mom. Because if you think about it, mom is in this situation, and in her mind, she's in survival mode, especially if you think about a domestic violence situation. She's in survival mode. And so in order for her to keep going, she's working with different resources in survival. Well, a kid's a kid. And a kid is thinking, it's my birthday. Right. And what are we going to do for my birthday? I know you're doing this, Mom. I know you're doing this, but it's my birthday. And so for us to come along and say, okay, we got this part. Mom, you finished handling that. Let us handle this for the child. And so for us to come and do that, that helps her a lot. And a lot of what we do, we give the mom credit. So we'll deliver a box and we can say it's from the mom. We deliver the cupcakes, it's from the mom. When she orders something off of Amazon, it's from the mom. And so that makes the child feel like even though we're in this situation, mom still remembered and still cares enough. And so that for us, that's super important.
It's really important. It's really important, and it's quite touching, and just it shows that sort of thought that goes into it. Well, you brought this birthday box, and I believe this. Tell me how this works. So
sure.
This is clearly, and especially during the pandemic, I assume that affected a lot of how your operations happen.
For sure. So we used to do about 5 parties a month, and now we're lucky if we do 1 party a month. And we always have had the birthday in a box, but the birthday in a box in the past has just been a box for the mom to decorate. And so we would have decorations, plates and things like that in the box. Well, 2020 came, we stopped doing parties, nobody's having parties, and what do? But kids are still having birthdays, right?
right, yes.
And so we switched the birthday in a box from the decorations to putting toys in the box. And so what we have is we have decorated boxes, and so we have volunteers that have decorated boxes for us, which are just beautiful. And then we put a bear in there from Build-A-Bear. We have donated bears from Maxine
Clark.
She personally donates the bears to us. She's been doing it for 7 years now. So we have the bears. We also have just a bunch of toys that are gender and age appropriate. Again, if the child says, I want something specific, they get that thing that's specific to them. We also have a relationship with Schnucks, and so Schnucks donates the gift card so the mom can go out and buy a cake and cake, ice cream, and things like that, or that child's favorite meal. Because what we don't want to happen, again, we're always thinking about that mom and the situation. We don't want the child to say, Mom, I want a Spider-Man cake, and mom has to try to make a Spider-Man cake. We just don't want that to happen.
Right.
And so we also have a partnership with Panera, and Panera also donates gift cards with us as well.
That's fantastic, because yes, when I was on your site, and again, from just the time since we've seen each other for 5 years, I've noticed that your partnerships have really grown. And I love, again, that sort of trying to implement the agency in there for the parent, so that it's coming, this whole process feels like it's coming from the parent directly for the child, which is really, really important for that relationship. I saw on your site, there's volunteer opportunities. Obviously, there's donation opportunities. Every nonprofit, there's
always donations.
Always donations. But talk about the volunteer opportunities if someone's seeing this and they want to get involved.
So right now we have a big promotion for different types of volunteer opportunities, because unfortunately, again, we're not having a lot of parties. So if you're looking for a party, I'm sorry, not yet. We're hoping by the springtime we can do outdoor parties. So I've been talking to the shelters, so that's coming. But in the meantime, we're looking for volunteer ambassadors. And so these are folks that you're a champion for It's Your Birthday. You go out and you really talk about the mission. On your birthday, you celebrate It's Your Birthday. You have some type of fundraiser, whether it's a Facebook fundraiser or a toy drive or something. And so we're also looking for birthday heroes. And so our birthday heroes are those that will actually volunteer, and you would be responsible for a shelter. And so, if you have a shelter that they give birthday boxes, you'd be responsible for helping with that. And so, go out to our website. There's plenty of opportunities available out there to volunteer.
To see that. I saw that too. You have something, because they're getting young people involved, the Birthday Squad. Talk about that for a bit.
So the Birthday Squad is part of Jack and Jill Incorporation of the St. Clair County chapter. And so they are a group of amazing middle schoolers. When they first approached me, I thought we were saying high school, but they're middle schoolers. And you should see this Birthday Squad work. I mean, they are amazing. So they're fundraising, they're spreading the word about what we're doing, and so it's just great to have a group of young people that love their birthday get involved.
That's really, and how do you, I want to ask you, how do young people sort of respond to helping other young people? I mean, what have they said to you? It's probably been very eye-opening for them.
Super eye-opening, just because, as a young person, we've all been young, as a young person, you don't realize that everybody does not get to celebrate their birthday like you do. And so for us to be able to explain, and we've gone into a lot of schools lately actually and had these conversations of what we do and why we do what we do, and the schools are giving, you know, the students are actually giving back as well. So yeah, it's very eye-opening to realize that, again, everybody doesn't get the same birthday.
Yeah, no, it's just really great to see. I remember when I first met you 5 years ago, interviewing you for a different show here at the station, and it always stuck with me because I had not thought about it at that time of just the significance of a birthday, and then when you really go through the work that you're doing, what it must be like for children who just don't have the ability to celebrate that, and what that means, because it you know, and you're changing that, and just little steps, because what we realize is we all have our part to play in the littlest thing we can do. So that's why I think it's just great with the work that you're doing. I want to show people the information if they want to get involved, so they can head to your website. We're going to put that information up on the screen. So when they get to your website, they're going to find kind of your mission. What else
they'll
are they
find
going
the
to see
mission.
there?
They'll find what we're all about. They'll see that birthday squad people picture out there. They'll be able to donate. Obviously, they'll see our 5 different programs that we talked about. They have contact information there if you got a question or you want to just chat or you got some ideas. Shoot us an email or give us a call.
I should also point out too that you are doing this entirely volunteer-based.
I do.
Yeah, you do have a full-time job.
I do have a full-time job. Yes, I'm on vacation right now, so yes.
Sorry, your vacation hours.
This is how my vacations are spent.
But I think that speaks volumes too, to just, you know, how much importance that you've put on this, but that other volunteers are obviously necessary. And where do you know, as we wrap things up, where do you want to go in the next 5 years when we see you?
When we sit down again?
Yes.
So I'd like us to expand in more domestic violence shelters. I think that's where our biggest need is. And so my hope is that there's about 68 domestic violence shelters in Missouri. I'd like to be in every one of them.
Fantastic.
That's the goal.
So, that's the goal.
That's the goal.
5 years. 5 years, we will come back and talk about it. It's so good to see you.
You too. Thank you. Thanks for thinking of us again.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to have more. We're going to talk to Urban Soccer Association next on the second segment. So stick with us right here on City Corner. We'll be right back.
There's so many reasons to love St. Louis, you can't pick just one. From the arts, architecture, and culture. An all-new development, including the Cortex Community Center. And you're never too far from great music and entertainment.
So come and experience St. Louis.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
The Missouri Botanical Garden is loved by green thumbs and non-gardening types alike because you can play.
You can relax.
And there's always something new to experience, no matter the time of day or the season. And learn about conservation and one-of-a-kind plants. So come and experience St. Louis.
It's so sad. It's good. It's not. Here, put that on. Put that on. It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it here. So what are you waiting for? Just go to the site.
If you smoked, this new lung cancer screening could save your life. Visit SaveByTheScan.org.
Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. For the second segment of the show that we're starting right now, I'm going to speak to David Grant. He is the founder and executive director of Urban Soccer Association. And I should say this is a newly founded nonprofit. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we're kind of focusing today's show on looking at nonprofits that are helping St. Louis area youth, specifically youth who might be coming from underserved backgrounds, disadvantaged backgrounds. And in this case, we're gonna kind of hone in on soccer. And tell me how you started this organization and what it's all about and what the mission aims to do.
All right. Thanks, Sarah. We started the organization about the tail end of 2021, 2022. Everybody's familiar with COVID, so a lot of opportunities came with being at home with family. And one of the things we kind of like look back on was the impact sports had on our family. Me and my wife, both military veterans. I'm recently retired, came to the city of St. Louis back in 2014, and looking for an opportunity to really give back to the community that really adopted me, but it homed my wife. And the sport family that adopted us, they mean so much. And understanding that the only reason our sport family was even put together was some of the organizations, i.e. soccer, that was put together. And my daughter, she continued to play soccer beyond the rec level onto select level, and kind of understanding the disparities with representation in those circles kind of really led me and my wife to want to create opportunities for other people.
Right. So, I mean, we're looking at photos. You've been coaching soccer, as you mentioned, with your daughter's team and getting involved. And so I think, when I was looking at with your site and with your mission, you really speak to, you're saying there's a declining number of children of color in the United States participating in youth sports. And you're saying particularly soccer, and that this kind of correlates to a connection of like broader trends of inequity in America.
Absolutely.
So talk about that. I mean, let's just, we have to keep it real, right? For anyone who's a parent, grandparent out there, they want to enroll their kids in any after-school program or sports, there's generally a cost to it.
Right.
And it just seems like it's increasing. So what are you seeing from your involvement over the years in coaching your daughter to how that affects different populations of people?
Right. So, yeah, I think one of the biggest things is what you said was cost, right? And for select soccer, there's a high nominal fee that's usually associated with that. But one of the other costs that people who are familiar with playing sport at a high level is the time that's afforded to that. Like my daughter, they're looking at 2-3 practices a week plus games. So at one point, we looked at one year, we looked at playing around 88 games in a calendar year, which is unheard of, especially for someone like myself who grew up playing recreational league sports, but only to be introduced by fire to select and the cost of that. So both financial cost and the cost of time invested in that sport. But what we're looking to accomplish with this organization is to really minimize both ends of that cost, both the financial cost and the time cost, by bringing the sport, using a public health approach, by bringing the sport and education to the youth in their schools. So
it's really interesting because sports it's so tied to American culture when you look at different things. And soccer obviously is an international sport, but our access to it and why certain groups seem to play sports, and it just becomes such a sort of mirror to society, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's another thing that we are trying to accomplish with our organization. St. Louis is number 6 most segregated city in America, both by social economic class, status, health, whatever lens you want to look at. We understand with our organization, one of the things that we are trying to combat is access. And we think we can do that by using the public health approach of bringing access to the student.
Yeah, it's interesting because people don't necessarily think about, here we are in St. Louis getting our first, the stadium's getting built
Right.
and everyone's excitement about soccer, but not necessarily thinking about accessibility of it, the accessibility to the sport to children outside of school, and
Right.
if they're even lucky to be able to play it
Right.
in school. So let's get into really you mentioned you played soccer when you were younger. We've got a throwback photo of you, and then we've got some photo, we can throw that up. So what do you see from all your years, both as a player in soccer, now as a coach, or as a coach over the years with your parents, as some of the, not just the physical benefits, maybe address that, but then also the social benefits, the psychological, emotional benefits of having kids being active and playing a sport like
Absolutely,
soccer?
absolutely. So a career choice I took for myself after leaving the military is to be a social worker. And I think one of the things that, we live in a fortunate time where we're seeing not only successes, but failures on a micro level, but it's being hyper visualized, where it seems like, you're on Monday, you're a celebrity, but on Tuesday, you become the vein of human existence. I think one of the things that I've noticed as a parent, as a player, but also as a coach, and the parent/coach my daughter's coach's detriment, a coach on the sideline of events, is that it's a process. These things didn't manifest overnight, and thus they're not going to be taken away overnight. Anything worth having is worth working for. And this is just being very deliberate and intentional with your actions and seeing how these things play out over the long run, because the safety net that soccer or sport in general provides is it allows you to fail in a safe space. It allows you to take critique in a safe space and learn how to either, disregard it or allow it to help you build yourself to where you want to be. So, yeah.
That's I think obviously from the physical benefits, right? Of
Absolutely.
Being especially during COVID when so many children were trapped indoors, they couldn't get out and do stuff. So there's that benefit. But yeah, there's something that comes from being a part of a team. What's so interesting to me about this concept is, growing up, when people would talk about soccer, especially from an international perspective, and they would look at Brazil or look at players, these top players coming out of Africa, there was this idea that soccer was this universal sport that whether you had cleats or not, that everyone was kind of playing. And so what's really interesting here is that you're actually seeing within the United States
Absolutely.
And within St. Louis, it not being accessible to people from underserved backgrounds, when in fact it was always kind of positioned as the sport that was accessible.
Right.
So what's happening here in America, or even, if we hyper-localize it here, that's making it inaccessible to people from diverse economic backgrounds?
Right. So the landscape is changing. If we were to put it in a nutshell, the landscape is constantly changing for the field of soccer specifically. I can't speak to other sports, but keeping it hyper-localized on the field of soccer, we have the influx of club soccers. You have, obviously your big three, your Gallagher, your Lou Fuses, your sporting locations, but you also have these micro clubs that are also taking away from the recreational leagues, where, not to the club's detriment, but the clubs are meeting a need where parents want opportunities for their children. And the problem that we're seeing right now that we're trying to combat is that these clubs are located in certain areas.
Okay.
And if you have the ability to get to those clubs, great. But if you don't have those abilities, then, the recreational leagues, which are being taken away from, they start to die out. So the opportunities for dads to go out and create opportunities for other parents to really impact community, it's kind of slowly being trickled away from the have-nots to the haves.
Interesting. So this is the first part. This is kind of the first launch of a nonprofit.
Absolutely.
Those are always those first couple years, key years. So, how does this going to look to you, this kind of rollout? What are you hoping, is kind of accomplished? Especially, what's your vision for these first couple years?
Yeah, first couple years, we really want to get established in the community, make our faces and names known for good reasons, hopefully. Become involved within the community with volunteer work, but specifically inside of schools. So our goal is not etched in stone yet, but we would like to be within at least one school in every school district within the next 3 years. and utilize the soccer curriculum that they're utilizing on a national level. So.
Oh, wow, wow. And when you were talking before about, if for somebody who might be listening to this or hearing this and thinking my child is a great athlete and I want to get them involved, but they don't have the means to or not, do they reach out to you, or is this only for a certain level, meaning
Absolutely.
You're playing at school and you've been highlighted from your coach as having a special skill? Is this for all skill levels?
Absolutely, and the great question. Thank you for that. The thing that we want to do is combat is segregation. So this is for everybody, not just the elites, or if your son or daughter has been playing for multiple years. If you are just curious about what the game may offer, like, hey, I don't even know what soccer is. Do you play that with, what do you need? Like, we don't have cleats, we don't have money for shoes. That's the beauty of what we're trying to do. We're trying to open those doors for you to be introduced to the sport at the very grassroots levels.
Oh, that's great. Because, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. What I always love about with the show and with the station, interviewing people who start nonprofits, is it's something speaks to them, right? So, I mean, it sounds like with you and your wife, it's like from going to all these games over the years, you played, you were there, you're focused on your child excelling, but also noticing areas that could be improved within sport in general. And to take that. How has it been when you've shared this information with other people that you're launching this, other parents? Has it been like I want to get involved?
Parents for different reasons. I'll use a personal example. My son, who had an individual education plan while in school, he really benefited from those opportunities, not from soccer specifically, but from the opportunity to engage with his peers and learn, be challenged in a safe space and grow. I think one of the things that we're also looking to offer is the opportunity to develop parents, to develop coaches, and just impact the community with this program through this sport of soccer. So,
that's great. No, it's really good just to see people harness that energy and turn it into something. Congratulations on the start. As I said to Rolanda, we'll have to have you back in 5 years to see how it's going. But for the time being, we've got the information there for you on the screen. If you want to learn more about Urban Soccer Association, head to their website, theurbansoccerassociation.com. You can call the phone number on your screen or email them. And as David mentioned, just with any questions you may have, from how do I get involved? How do I get involved if you want to volunteer, or if you have a child or grandchild that you want to sign up, all the information, you can reach out to them through their website or through their email and just start there. But really great. Congratulations. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you at home for watching. And we'll see you next time, and keep it right here on STL TV, Experience St. Louis.